Hello, welcome to another great session for the Scrum chat room. And today we want to talk about how to face this current Scrum job market. It's quite an interesting period for anyone in the IT and the Agile space. And if you're in the market lately, you probably will notice that there's some bit of irregularities. But the question many people are asking is, should I draw back? Should I stay? What should I do in order to um, increase my visibility? And should I wait until when I get an interview? What should I be doing? So, in this session, we have some expert in the house, and they are going to be sharing you their opinion, what they think you should be doing at this time. And if I were you, I would definitely take out a notebook and a pen and jot down this idea. Why? Because somebody who has been there definitely can tell you what the market is, and most importantly, one of the things we do is work with people who are getting jobs day in, day out. So we are current about what is going on, and it's time for us to have that conversation to give you some really great advice. And before we move ahead, one thing we want to do, drop your comment on the chat. Let us know where you're connecting from so that we can give you a shout out. But then I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest speaker tonight. We have Coach Catherine Epa connecting all the way from Illinois, Chicago. Hello, Coach Catherine. How are you doing today?
Hi, Doug. Thank you so much. I'm doing great. And it's always great for us to just come on here and share our knowledge and to tell the viewers what's going on in the current job market so they can learn and maybe pick up a job real quick.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach Catherine, for being with us today. I'm looking forward to an excited conversation. And we also have the almighty Coach Al on the board. Coach Al, all the way from the Washington, D.C. area. So, hello, Coach Al. Good evening. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good evening, Doc. Good evening, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from. It's always good to be back. It's been a while. Yes, I went MIA on everyone. Yeah, it's always good to be back. I'm really excited to share and answer questions that everyone may have. So, yeah, I'm really excited to get started.
Yes, we are also excited to have you back on board, and we're looking forward for a powerful conversation. Now, our topic for today, and I see those who are connecting. I see Matthew connecting from Houston, Texas. I see Chris Samuel connecting from Georgia. Where you're connecting from, drop us a sign, and we are going to definitely say give you a big shout out. Okay, to kickstart the conversation, I guess. 2024 has been an exciting year for the IT, and we've seen quite a lot of irregularities. I think this year we've had like a whole lot of um, company laying off, like you can never imagine. But also, ironically, we can see so many company hiring as well. And most interestingly, if you look back to, was it about 2 years ago when Capital One said, you know what, we don't want the IT team and they lay off like almost everybody. Excitingly, they are back again hiring Scrum team members. Now, these are some of the indicators you look at in the market to actually give you an idea that the field you're in, it's definitely not something that you should be afraid, or it's not something that you should kind of doubt the future of the market. Now, when you look at the strength in Agile, you realize that Scrum specifically, it's one of the most fast growing career within the last 10 years. And it's taking up the market so fast. 2 days ago, I was talking to a company, the senior living space. But then they're like, we've resisted Agile for a long time, but we've come to a point where we need to get into a space of digitalization like never before. And the best way to do that is to look at how we can collaborate with our seniors, see their need, and be able to digitize them. I was like, wow. So it's not just about a certification, it's about a real need in the market. And that's why it's something we come up and we talk about it. We give you the opportunities to be able to know what is available. Now, we want to start by giving generate perspective of what we think about the Scrum job market right now. And then we're going to narrow it down to what we have seen to, for in the aspect of recruiters, what we have seen in the aspect of company, and what we are also seeing in the aspect of people who are applying for the job and how we can play the balance. So I'm going to start with Coach R to keep the call off. Coach R, can you give us a quick analytical view of your take in the agile market currently?
I think there are plenty of opportunities because for me, I do get emails, calls almost every day or at least 3 4 times a week. So there are plenty of opportunities out there. I think people think the market is saturated already. It may seems that way, but the opportunity is vast. I think there's not only the ample of opportunity, but when you look at the space and the pace at which technology is growing, that kind of show you the trajectory of how things are going. Because we're in a global market, right? The Samsung, the Apple, the video games, the pace at which they're releasing this things, and we talk about automation, the electric cars. So you do need this consistency and continuity in terms of being able to deliver not just the value but the quality that the customers are so, or your end users are so desired, be it
Mhm,
one that buy an iPhone business, I mean business to business, business to customer. So it's, I mean, I'm yet to hear anything because I do follow a lot in the IT space in terms of
mhm.
reading article across the board and just try to stay up to date. I'm yet to see anything that's gonna take over this uh, quote unquote this agile that it's going for the past 20 years now. I mean, from industry expert, we haven't heard anything that's gonna change it. So it's here, and it's gonna be here for a while. So I mean, people should not give up at all. It's just believe in yourself and continue to put in the effort. It's gonna come out.
I love the fact that you emphasize on people believing in themselves, and also you gave us some really good analysis on what you have seen in terms of the market, and also how the industry is fast moving. Now, I was listening to a conversation or watching a video a couple of days ago, and they were giving an analytic. I think there was I've forgotten that name. Netflix, which is currently one of the most video provider, went to that company and said, you know what, you guys are big, buy us. I was like, no, we're the best in the market. We don't want you. And they failed to innovate. What's going on? We see so much transformation now. We go back to look at Kodak. Kodak was one of the most widely used cameras out there.
Yeah.
If you kind of date back to the 90s, you could not talk about the pictures and video without mentioning Kodak. But then when you also look at the aspect of digital transformation, they did not kind of buy into digital transformation, and we can see the consequences. And good enough, which is exciting, is that we're still in the early phase of digital transformation. There is still quite a lot that is coming up. The ability for people to build mind-blowing apps and the ability for people to automate the entire process, it's been like wow. But now, why we're starting it from this base is because we want to zoom in to be able to show you the picture where a Scrum Master or an Agile practitioner stand in the whole process, so that it's easier for you to plan your career in the next 5, 6, 7, 10 years or so. But before we do that, we want to get a view from Coach Catherine Ebert. Coach Catherine, what's your take about the current Scrum or Agile market?
Thank you, Doug. So to me, Coach Afra said it's very saturated. I'll agree and accept or disagree. To me, I feel like it's not saturated, but it's very competitive right now
Yeah.
as compared to the other years. Because before you just take a certification and you get a job, but now no, you cannot. It's very impossible. You need to have hands-on experience. You need to go like to a community. You need to have case studies. You need to understand like the end-to-end like process in developing a product,
Hmm.
because when interviews have gone way past just asking you basic questions on Scrum and Agile, and I feel like that's the challenge with most. That's the challenge why most people are not getting jobs, and people only focus on Scrum. You need to learn Scrum, like all the other frameworks. You learn like even like the processes in testing. You also learn like the maybe the life cycle of testing and cyber security, all of those stuff, because they all connect to a product. Because you cannot build a product, especially like in banking sectors, you cannot build a product without doing like security checks, because if the information of these clients get into the wrong hands, it's going to be bad for the company. They might even lose business and potential clients. So you need to understand the end-to-end process, everything that goes into us building a product, not just your the Scrum certification. So right now there are a lot of opportunities. Like Coach Alfred said, I have a lot of calls and emails almost every day. But the problem is it's very competitive. You need to be on your A game to actually get a job right now.
Well, I love the fact that you reiterated that nothing much has changed, but then the market requires you to be able to upgrade. The market requires you to be able to put on a different mindset, a different kind of thinking. Yes, if you
Yes.
look back, 2021, uh, it was more like get a certification, then boom, you're on the door of the opportunity. But then people who had jobs at that period, I've seen many of them who were in the field of Scrum. Like, you know what? I think they're not jobs, so I'm kind of stepping out. Right.
Mhm.
But then one of the stuff which I think many people are failing to master, which is what we talk about all the time, especially when we are looking into the dimension on how to sustain career, is that many people analyze the space of success in terms of a season. So they look at what is happening now and they draw a conclusion of what the future would be. Right. And so because nothing is happening now, and also because many people don't actually take that time and invest in doing the appropriate research that they need to do. They rely on what people tell them, and people always give you their experiences and hardly gives you what is the bigger picture unless you're talking to a professional. Now, we're going to zoom into how to face the current Scrum market right now. What should you be doing while you are in the process of waiting? It's more for me, I see this period more like a preparation period of what is coming forth because companies are kind of re strategizing. Companies are kind of redefining the way they want to see their scrum masters and their agile coaches. Why? Because before it has been very easy access. And because it has been easy access, many people do not really pay the value to learn what they need to learn. Now, an average Scrum Master understands facilitation and nothing else. Right. Right now, they are restructuring, and that's why you will see most often we want a technical Scrum Master, we want a Scrum Master slash PO, we want a Scrum Master who understand Salesforce, we want a Scrum Master who understand. And Coach Catherine made that remark a bit more earlier that you have to know Scrum and something else, which is quite reasonable. But then, before we get into that analysis, I'm going to circle back to you, Coach Catherine. let's say somebody who has been in that space for 6 months and they're saying, you know what, they're not jobs right now. What do you think they're missing? And
Mm.
you just said, you know what, and Coach Alfred said the same thing. I get calls every day and I receive emails about job opportunity. What do you think someone who is not having exposure to opportunity or who doesn't even have hope about the future of Agile or Scrum, what are they missing?
Oh, thank you so much for that question, Doc. So, recently I did like a little research, and it shows that there's a 24% growth. There'll be a 24% growth of Scrum Masters in 2026, not even 2025. So, like the demand for Scrum Master is on the rise. So now is the time for everyone to prepare if you want to get into the Scrum market. And if you've been in the Scrum space for 6 months and you're not seeing results, I think one of the Scrum event gives us an opportunity to inspect and adapt retrospective. You need
Yeah.
to retrospect on your processes. What am I doing wrong? There must be loopholes. There must be something that you're missing out, because you cannot say, "Oh, I've done everything." If you do everything that you need to do, you get results. So
Mm.
retrospect, look at where the gap is and try to fill out the gap. Do like a gap analysis. Where am I? What am I missing? Where? Maybe it's in the application process. Maybe it's because you have just one certification. So go take more certifications. If you cannot take certifications, just go on Udemy, buy courses, study, and just have like the knowledge, because you need to be ready, because you might have just one interview that you need to prove yourself and get your job. So don't lose that opportunity. So do a gap analysis, retrospect on your process and why you're not getting the results, and then try to fill it up. But I think most people, what they're also missing, they have like the theory knowledge, and Scrum requires practice. You cannot,
Hmm.
it requires practice. So you need to join a community of practice, do like the events, do actual projects, and don't also just consider this time as my preparation period, because when you get on the job, they onboard you on their processes. They don't onboard you on Scrum or no. They onboard you on their processes and how Agile is implemented there, and maybe you need to take like some compulsory courses like security
Yeah.
courses, yes, all those trainings. So that's what they do during onboarding. So now now let's say you've been there for 6 months, 8 months. Take that as your preparation period. Learn all what you have to learn. Have case studies. So when you get to the job, because you've done like all this practice, those practice will be like your environment, and they'll be like something that you need to fall back to. So you'll be like, oh, in my environment, this is what we did, but this is how you do yours. Oh wow. So you can have like something to compare with. But again, do your gap analysis, look at where the loopholes are, and just fill it up.
Well, thank you very much. And Coach Al, I'm going to flip the side of the coin. Somebody asked me a question. They said, now, they read a book about our leadership and the aspect of really people building their skills and becoming the person they really want to become. And they gave three attributes. And it's like, okay, now we want to use this attribute to analyze where an average person is actually at. The first attribute is hunger. The second attribute is smart. And the third attribute is humble. Now, when I look at the current people or people who are actually in the process of looking at a job, I can kind of get this analysis around these three attributes: the level of hunger, the ability to stay humble and learn what is in the process, or being too smart to make like, you know what, I've been around, I know this, I know this, I know this. Now I want you to look from that perspective and give us a vivid analysis of what you think the people who are not getting the result, what are they missing if we put them into these three categories? I think you're talking on mute, good.
So it's a really quite interesting perspective actually when it comes to leadership. Those three: hunger, smart, and humble. I think in every aspect, based on my experience and coming from consulting, humble is the first thing I would say. It's key to becoming successful. It's not what you know, right? You can have the hunger. If you're not humble, you're not gonna make it through, right? And it basically, I think being humble sets the foundation to become successful. Because
Hmm.
when you're humble, right, you humble yourself, you create that environment where you're open to everything. So you're learning from different it's kind of like, you know what, let me put myself down and I'm nothing, right? And I can take it from anywhere. So
Hmm.
people will be more into you because it's like, oh yeah, we can reach out to this. You can
Yeah,
learn from every angle. People will come to you. You know, it's not about being the smartest person in the room. Being smart doesn't necessarily guarantee you success.
that's right.
I mean, there are so many people in the world we can go about, even some of the wealthiest people. It's not like they're smart. No. What I usually say, you can be smart and knowing things, but how do you use that knowledge in implementing what you're trying to achieve is critical than
Hmm.
being smart. Anybody, because then there's an ego,
Yeah.
right? If I'm think I'm smarter, yeah, come on, man. I'm going my route. Like the first day I went in, they put me right in the RT at the PI planet. It's like, okay, I'm talking to the deputy, I'm talking to the deputy, the director, I'm talking to this. Does it mean I'm smarter than them? No. Now they don't understand the process.
Hmm.
But because I humble myself when I was there, because they're higher than me, they can just throw me out of the wind, out of the door the next minute.
Hmm.
Right? I put myself low. I was so calm, talking to everyone, asking questions, try to understand how things are going. So they were more than open up and share where the struggles or what we need to do. Tell me, you know what, we've been messing up around a whole lot. So we want you to just observe the processes and see areas that we need to improve and everything. Right.
Hmm.
Hunger is kind of the
Definitely.
drive that I want this. I want this. But when you humble yourself, the smart is the approach that guides through this hunger, this drive that you know, you're gonna drive, but in a more like kind of like in a much straight direction that you
Hmm.
that's it. Okay, we're going this way. Okay, hold on, it's not working. Now let me pause and look, reevaluate things. Am I doing this right? Am I see? That's is how you using this knowledge, being smart to hold back when things are not going the right way, right? You
Yeah.
still have the drive is still there, but you just scaling back to say, let me look at this. And once
Hmm.
you figure it out, you move from gear 1 to 5
To
because
get
now
fired.
it's double the hunger for you to achieve it. So yeah, I think everybody have it. We all have it in us. It's
Hmm.
just how do we harness it? How do
Harness
I
it.
put it? The proper better way. How do we harness these three to become successful, not to succeed? Because you can succeed in getting the job, but
Hmm.
to become successful, how do you harness these three key
To become that.
they come to for you to be able to be successful? I think that's the critical part of it. If
Yeah.
you cannot harness three in one, then forget you can't harness one and leave the other two around. So that would
Yeah.
be basically my own
Right.
perspective
So,
of it.
Coach, I can kind of pick up your analysis and say I can pick hunger plus being humble is what makes you smart.
Mhm.
Because if you're not hungry, you will not look for more.
Mhm.
So people look for more are people who are smart. People will learn how to humble themselves despite the fact that they know they're also smart. Remember what when you and you I love that example when you spoke about getting into a new environment. and talking to people. Now, you might be the expert in your field, but I've seen so many Scrum Master land into trouble by getting into the environment and it's like, you know what? This is not the way Agile has been done. You can't estimate in hours. You need to do story point. Can do this. Like they are proving smart, and that smart cost them the job, right? So be hungry enough to learn. But then until you humble yourself, you can be, because if you don't humble yourself, you think you know it all.
Yeah.
Right. So it just a like really, really big aspect. Now we kind of shift gears and we want to move into more or less like now we have the understanding that the space where we are into Scrum, we are into Agile is the preparation phase. Now, it's a preparation phase, but then it's also a very critical phase for most of us that are already in there because people who are already in the job market get to that comfort zone, right? They get comfortable in receiving the paycheck and they don't think about investing in themselves. After maybe the day, they just want to think about, I need to relax and all of that. And maybe by the time they're thinking about, who do I need to kick out of the team? You probably will be going to be the first on their list. Not because they had to, but because they have not seen that hunger for you to grow past where you are. I often tell people if within 2 years you are in the same position, nothing is changing, nothing is shifting, no what is coming in, it's a very big risk for you. And it doesn't matter if you're full time or so. There need to be something shifting. And if it's not shifting at the level of the job, you need to now start creating opportunities out there that take you to a bigger position. I had a very powerful conversation with someone yesterday, with a lady yesterday. We're doing an assessment of what she needed to get into a Scrum job. And she said something that got me thinking up to now. She said, look, my company is in the process of downsizing because they're going through a budget cut, and that might cost me my job. But he said, look, I'm not bothered because at any time I invest on myself, and them letting me go is their loss. And I always view myself in such a way that getting my next opportunity is never been an issue. And she said something, she says, look, I'm a single mom and I do this because I also want my daughter to understand that getting result is not just sitting back and thinking that because I have an opportunity that's gonna be there forever. I was like, wow. Now talking to people, I get to that was a really wow moment for me to look at how people think about the situation they go through. Now, somebody else is going to give you 110 complaint. It's difficult. I don't know how I'm going to get the next job. I don't know how everything is expensive and all of that. The mindset of the people, which is the next stuff I want us to focus on.
Yeah, Doc, if I may add
Yes.
quick to that, I think for those of us that are in the field already, it's even more difficult than those trying to get in. Because the
That's right.
point I'm saying is there is pressure. If maybe you may be in an environment that you, oh, it's not, don't take it lightly, all eyes are on you, right?
Mhm.
The pressure is even more, not only to deliver, the pressure to deliver, but the pressure to literally show that you know what you
Mhm.
do, you know this process, you're there. Because if you get into an environment where they're gonna rely on you as the expert,
Yeah.
then you better get your games up, right? Because everybody, the team you're working with is looking at you.
Mhm.
Manager, everybody within you surrounding, pretty much they're looking at you. So it's more difficult to, like I always say, it's easy to get a job, but it's difficult to maintain the job because the pressure to maintain it is
Yeah.
more higher. Because they're not gonna train you unless if you're lucky,
Yeah.
you know
Mm-mm.
they want to be nice to you other than, but yeah, it's the pressure is high once you get in there.
Definitely. I do agree. So what's important thing? which I want us to have a conversation. If you're listening to me, this might be your one of your greatest takeaway. What is the mindset shift that we need to stay above failure, Coach Catherine?
All right, thank you, Doug. So, first off, you need to, for me, you need to rely on a higher power. Like you always say, you need to rely on God. Like you cannot do this without God. Like so, I think that people feel like maybe they run to God only when they have problems. But if you talk to God, God has given us the power to command things and they'll come to pass. So I feel like that's our biggest your biggest strength should be God. Like if like when I used to work I started working out in 2008 and I've been consistent since then, and this is because I incorporated prayers to it. Like God gave
Mhm,
me strength even on days I don't want to work out. I will go for a long walk for like a 1 hour walk. So praying to helps you. That days that you want to give up, you need to pray. So first thing, that's the foundation, prayers. If your journey is built on prayers, everything else will fall apart when everything else will just follow. So first prayers, and second, your why. Why did I start this? That should be your driving force whenever you feel like giving up. No, I've come too far to give
mhm,
up. And there's one thing I've learned: the time when you're about to give up, just know your breakthrough is around the corner. Whenever you're about to give up, your breakthrough is right around the corner.
mhm.
So don't give up and have the growth mindset too. If you maybe if you especially for those who are in our community, or if you belong to a community and coaches ask you to maybe just tell us about yourself or just do like an interview prep with you, whatever feedback they give you, that should be a moment of okay, thank you. Or use this feedback to grow, or use this feedback to learn. These are the gaps they saw in me, so they're giving me this feedback so I can learn, rather than you feeling like, oh, they said this, I'm down. No, because the corporate world is not even, it's not it's not a child's play. So you need to start building this mindset now while you're looking for the job. Just have like a I always say a mental toughness. You need to build mental toughness. Like I will strive in every situation and just have like some word of affirmation that you say to yourself, like I'm good enough, I can do this. And not that you yes, believe in yourself. Like Coach Al said, you need to believe in yourself, because that's the first thing. Because if you don't believe in yourself, who do you want to believe in you? Nobody. If you don't believe in yourself, so believe in yourself and know that whatever you set your mind to, it's attainable, and just work hard to attain it.
All right, great. Coach Al,
Yeah,
please tell us a bit about what people need to do to stay above failure.
yeah. I think with regard to what Kat says, it's the mindset. Even first, it's the higher being, right? Even with that, if you're not in the right mindset, you cannot communicate with the higher being as to the guide and direction you want him to guide you.
Yep.
Because
That's right.
interestingly, I lagged a little bit, right? So I've been sitting recently, and I don't know. I was telling some of my colleagues, I was like, I'm
Mhm.
upset at myself because I found out I'm sleeping too much now. It's like I like, literally, even though I'm not sleeping the 8 hours, but I felt well rested for that 2 or 3 hours I go to sleep. And I realized that when I prepared my mindset, I can communicate better with the higher being, and along with going out for exercise, you know, and go out because I get like maybe 5 in the morning or 6. I'm at the gym, work out. If I'm not, I'll go for an hour work every day, most likely after my meetings, and I come back. It has helped me. My mental state is so I'm stable. Whatever issues I have, it's like I throw it out the door, close it. So my mental state is prepared, mentally prepared your mind. Because that's the only way we can communicate with a higher being or anybody else around us that's gonna help us, right? Another thing I realize is, and Kev mentioned, feel. So I took an executive public speaking. I was amazing with all these people that I don't believe I should be among them. And I still have it here. It's how I feel versus how I look.
Mm,
I remember. Yep.
That should not be your issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because I asked him, it's like, if I was like, so why shouldn't I bother about how I look as a if I'm standing in front and giving, a speech or something? They said the look is, are you presentable? That's what you
mhm,
focus on. But in terms of if you ever think of how I feel, you're gonna fail and how I look. They say, look at the greatest speakers around in the world today.
mhm.
Focus on your message.
Yep.
Then they deliver the message. People don't even like, oh wow, this is amazing. Why we follow motivational speakers, and so what he was telling me was basically focus on learning what you want to learn. Learn it to the best of your ability and harness it. So when you go out there, don't worry about what people say. Worry about the message you're gonna deliver. So if you're going into an interview, don't worry about them. Deliver your message
Yep.
and let them be, wow, that's all you should focus on. Let them be the one that be impressed by you. It all goes back to your mental state. Because when you're mentally prepared,
Mm,
how I feel, feeling is not gonna get feeling is all emotional. There's no logic behind feelings. Feeling is always gonna pull you back. No matter how
Always.
much you work hard, you do it. The moment feeling comes in, your mental state changes because everything becomes emotion. And we all know when we're in an emotional state, what happens,
mhm.
right? We
You
do
don't go
the
find life.
we do
Yes.
the extraordinary. This is where it was like, oh, I can't do this. It's too difficult. It's That's the emotion that I'm telling you, like it's hard. But when you kick it away, trust me, it works.
It
And
works.
it's something I'm trying to be consistent on doing it. So
Yeah.
don't give up in anything. Your mental
Yep.
stability is key to your successful.
Too.
Whether it's more on the, like I said, communicate with a higher being, be mentally prepared to communicate
Mm,
with a higher being to what you desire, what your desires or what you want, whichever one it is. That's the
mhm.
only way you can become successful.
Yeah. And Koshal, just to add to that, I always tell people, yes, you need to live in the present, but you have to think in the future to succeed. Now, you must always think at least 5 years beyond where you are today. That's what gives you the drive. That's what gives you the energy. That is what makes you see what is important. Now, most of the things we feel they're really important today, they actually taking us out from a space, out from our future. So what we're gonna do, what we're doing now is that we are investing the energy in areas that are not productive, in areas that cannot reproduce. And because of that, we're going to buy the future very expensive. Why? Because we did not actually save for the future. What does it mean to save in the future, and how does it relate to anyone who is actually preparing for the Scrum market today? Most often, we are waiting for an opportunity to get ready. Like somebody has been in the job market for 1, 2 years and they're looking for a job, and you ask them a question, the only certification they have is PSM. Now they have been in this space. Now, with due respect, not really to pick on someone, we cannot giving you an analysis that's gonna help you better prepare. Now that is for me being very unserious. You cannot be in the space for 2 years and you have no idea that there are things that you could do to better build yourself to get ready. And that to me also is an indication that you were not really prepared in the first place to get into what you're doing. Because if you prepare, you get a roadmap. It's like, okay, what do I need to do first? What next? What next? What next? Yesterday, when we're having a mastermind, and Christian was saying, I have taken about 50 certifications. Like, I like, okay, wait a minute. And and he said something like really great. He said, look, right now I work as a senior Scrum Master, but if I were to work as a BA, it's just a tab. If I want to work as a project manager, it's just a tab. Not because I'm smarter than everybody, but simply because I've prepared myself. He said, currently now I'm taking a certification on cybersecurity. Now, this is someone who is living 10 years ahead of time.
Mhm.
Go to someone who's telling you, look, I really need this job. This is all that I really want to. And then all they have is PSM. That, okay, if you need this, these are recommendations for you. Take safe certification, add it there. Take a PO certification, add it there. Get into a community of practice. I don't have money. That's too expensive. Right. So, and talking about that before we move into our next phase, all of these, it has never been about the problem of money. Trust me. It's always been about how we think. When your thinking is right and you hold it there and not give up, even when you don't have money, God is going to bring you someone who's going to walk through the process. Trust me. It has never been about money. Many people give up because all they see is I'm looking at how much I have with me, and then I'm trying to calculate how this is going to help me meet my next 3 months goal and all of that. And now the budget they are thinking. Now you can budget your money, but don't budget your thinking. That's the biggest issue we're having with people. They're budgeting, they're thinking. Now, I cannot think beyond this. I cannot think about the fact that I am going to take an SPC in the next 3 months because this is only how much I make and it's only able to do this, do this, do this. When I'm able to make more money, then I start thinking about this. Life has never been that way. The richest people are people who sell ideas. The think, the book Think and Grow Rich is not a fallacy. It's reality. And we've seen people who have been able to create their mental mind. When you get to an interview, people buying your thought. They're not buying your certificate. What are you thinking? It's what you think that comes out of your head. Now we talk about the practicality. Now let's move from the building aspect of you. We've given you the foundation. The foundation is don't focus on what is going on now. Focus on the future. We've given you the analytics. The future in IT and Agile is bright. Now the limitation we're facing is that people are settling for less. And because they are settling for less, they cannot move fast. It's just like you have a car. um, your car can drive you around. But let's say that you're going for a trip in a mountainous area and you want to use your same two-wheel car to go over there. Although your car can drive, the terrain is changing, the space is changing. So you need a higher power to be able to get there. Now, the way many people are trading in the Scrum market, they're trading as if they're still within the last 2 years, the last 4 years. So they're not thinking that I
Mhm.
need to be able to upgrade in order to go higher to face the environment. Or they're like, okay, you know what? I don't have the kind of car that can go up there, so I'm not going to even thinking about going up there. So I'm out. Right. Instead of thinking there are many options, what are the options? Okay, I could give my car on rent. I could rent another one while I'm driving up there. I'm able to. So there's so many possibilities the mind can create if you allow it yourself to think. The second point for what I advise people is that when you are in the market, think about investing in yourself. What does investing in yourself mean? One of the most powerful strategy to succeed is the concept called mastermind. And that's the power of most often when we talk about you getting success, I join the community. Now, people look at community as expensive, but that is the place where you can get the highest form of knowledge. You're in the midst of 10, 15, 13 people going the same direction. There is no way you can fail. You're in the midst of people who are getting jobs every day. There is no way you can go without getting a job. What limits people from getting a job is that they might be there, but they are not there. Like, I might be there, but I'm not there because I'm just there to see the number. My mind is not here. My practice is not here. My energy is not here. And because of that, they definitely not get the result. So just that's the foundation. Now let's move to more or less the requirements in the market. Um, what are what is an average job listing out there asking for people to get in a Scrum Master position? Catherine, you kind of like, okay.
It's so funny because I was just looking at job descriptions. I was just looking at job descriptions, and oh my god, they're demanding a lot. So it's not just about certifications again. You
Yeah.
need to work on your soft skills, communicate, how to communicate, how both verbal and written, how to collaborate with teams, how to communicate to higher leadership. Because the same way you communicate with your team, that's not the same way you need to communicate with leadership. You need to know that, and your presentation skills, how to do a presentation for your team, and that of leadership. Like leadership, they are very busy and they don't have time. So I call leadership bullet point people. So it needs to be a bullet point. When you get to the meeting, 30 seconds on one bullet point to explain whatever you've written. So they need a lot. And like one of the job descriptions, I said the ideal candidate should be able to listen actively and take notes.
Mm,
You need to be able to pay attention to details. So all these little things that many people that are on the Scrum journey don't even focus on these things. You focus on certifications and question and answer, and Scrum has gone way past that. And they said they need somebody that has a mastery of, I think, project management. I saw one other one that they said they need a Scrum Master that had been a software engineer. So
mm.
what does that tell you? So now if you can do like a crash course on Udemy, just like a basic, just understand what to do, like in-depth knowledge, I think that'll be good. So outside I'm like, oh okay. So it entails a lot. So a lot of stuff. So if you're in the current job market, what you should do is if you have the certification, that's good, but you need to belong to a community of practice. You need to attend agile meetups, webinars. If you subscribe to like a lot of people on LinkedIn, I always subscribe to their newsletter. So when they have webinars, they send me those notifications on my email. Try to attend conferences, and I think my biggest thing is if you're on the Scrum journey, you must have a mentor. That's a must. If you want to succeed, especially in this job market, you need to have a mentor because the mentor is there to listen and see, do like a gap analysis for you and tell you where you're lacking so you can go fill it up and then join an active community of practice, not just a community, active community of practice because you need to do all of these stuff and continuous learning. You need to learn, learn, and learn. The day you stop learning, it means you don't want the job.
Coach Ked, quick question for you.
You have to stop.
What if your mentor is too busy to attend to you?
So if your mentor is too busy, right? That's why you need a community of practice dog because in the community, right, you're not there to do question and answer. You're there to see like what the process is, especially as is structured. You have like teams, you have like the general mastermind, you have teams where you do projects. If your mentor is busy and you're in the community, your team all you I think there are 10 or 9 people in a team. Your 18 members should not be busy. And you can also have like a study partner that you pick out from the group and somebody who's as hungry as you, just so you can meet up and continuously learn.
Thank you. Just if I go to Coach Art, the reason I asked that question is because when I talk to a lot of people, it's like, oh, this person was mentoring me, then they had two, three jobs, they became very busy, now they cannot attend to me again. Now, there's a whole big difference between a mentor and a coach.
Yes.
Right. Most often, mentoring, especially for those who are looking for a job, mentoring is not what you need. Mentoring is for people who are in the practice, who already have a job. If you don't have a job, you need a coach. Now, what's the difference between a mentor and a coach? I can have a mentor. I can talk to my mentor once in 6 months. I can talk to my mentor. The moment my mentor see my call, he's like, "Oh, this is important." Now, I'm not going to hold my mentor accountable that, "Oh, you said you're going to teach me this. Now you're not available." No, they don't owe you that
Mm-mm.
responsibility. Mentors are model. They already have your life. You've tracked your life when you ask questions where necessary. Now, what many people, and that's what many people are leveraging on in order to get a job, and they kind of falling short. You should have a coach. A coach is someone who sit down with you, set goal, and set structures and systems that hold you accountable. Now, it's not someone that you're going to call on the phone anytime you want an answer. No, that's also where a lot of people have frustration. Like, oh, the problem is this, I'm calling, nobody speaking. Nobody will help you by you calling them. No. If there need to be a structure, whether they are there or not, there is a structure that help you to succeed.
Yeah.
So that is how you determine if you are in an environment that would enable you succeed. If you rely on a person, people get busy, issue comes up, and so it's all about structures and system. And Coach Charles, let's kind of focus on you on the need for the right certification and the right education. How should someone in the job market, why should they pay attention to that?
I think there's a path, right? Was it? I was looking at good Academy, I was looking at Six Sigma,
Yeah.
right? And you cannot start from black. You don't want to go to black belt. You haven't start from white belt,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
right? There's a reason why these things are set, because it's a stage. Everything connects. It starts from the foundation all the way up, be it your PSM, your Scrum, Safe. I cannot say safety is 2 in 1, right? It covers Scrum, but Scrum at a highest level, right? And then you have the other certification. There's an alignment in those. You cannot jump and go take SPC when you don't understand the foundation. You cannot just say, okay, now I got the foundation, and then you go at the top of the mountain when you don't go the path between to get to the top of the mountain, right? So there is already this learning at curve you have to follow through. That again, it goes back to having a coach who's gonna guide you, or to a certain extent, a mentor can guide you as well, right? So everything, the way I learn, there has to be some part. I'm doing, like what Kat mentioned earlier, I'm not only studying Agile and Agile certifications, but I'm also studying technology as a whole to a certain extent, right? Reason better to say now I'm in the government space, okay? Now I got to focus more on articles on how IT in the government space. So if I'm in the say consultant, I mean consultant, whatever banking and stuff, I also need to
Uh-huh.
understand the industry, the organization I'm in, what is their business and the industry which they are.
Uh-huh.
Then you come back to when we're learning this, there's a reason why they trying to use this concept and bring it into their business in terms of delivering the value, right? So
Uh-huh.
the learning, there has to be a path. You cannot just take one and jump to the other, right? It's not an easy journey, but it can be easy depending on the approach you use. The thing I want to add, like expectation needs to be lowered.
Hmm.
It's a journey that the expectation is up here, right? The reality is way, way above the expectation. I think this is why the struggle comes in terms of when people are learning. They said, now, whoever have been gave them the information has helped set that expectation. Now they come to learn and realize that the reality of learning these things is not
Hmm.
as what they were expected. Because when you become certification is basically saying you're a master in something.
That's right.
You're the subject matter expert. It's like consultant, they usually say before you go out there and talk to a client, they prepare you well. Because you are the expert in this thing that you're going into. There's a reason why they pay fortune for people to go in and sell something or show them a concept
Hmm.
for them to buy into it. So whether you're a Scrum Master, you're a master of Agile, right? Your SPC, your master of that safe practice consultant, your master of any certification you have is critical to understand, not just to get the certification, because when you go out there, you expect it to know, to be able to deliver what you've been brought in for. So I think staying aligned in path of the learning, don't jump from foundation to the top of the mountain, step by step, and that will lead you to a bit more broader understanding of the entire concept or the field in which you're going. Even it's Scrum, cybersecurity, try- I've done most of these things. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm an avid learner. I like to learn. Touch base in each and every one. It's not to know everything, but just to understand, just like I said earlier, it's just to gain some knowledge and understanding of that concept. Now, if I go into an environment where it's practice, that knowledge and understanding, it's a guide for me to be able to learn more when I'm actually in there.
Mm. Well, thank you very much. Now, if I want to kind of do a summary of what we have been focusing on in the last 1 hour, we started by establishing the fact that there is hope for anyone in the agile space. And this is a moment for you to prepare. Why? Because the big stuff are yet to come. And we listed that, or we agreed that the biggest challenge is that many people are treating the agile space as a seasonal something. So they're not investing the energy that will give them the result. So because of that, Agile is constantly setting up values that are kicking so many people out. And now they're thinking there's no space in there. I tell people within the next 5 years, you will need to get at least a bachelor in Agile to get an Agile job. Trust me. Why? Because many companies and many educational centers are adopting the process into their curriculum. So people are eventually, when they are needing agile people from the pharmaceutical industry, they'll be able to pick them in because now they view them in the entire process. They might not need just those who are out here. But then the advantage of someone who is here is that your experience and your practicality now will give you an expert advantage. The other have been learning the theory, but then you have the expert advantage to be able to deliver. That's your competitive advantage. And which is why this is the space for you to build everything that you need in order to stand out. Now, the reason why you should invest your all, if you're interested in building a career in Agile, not those who want the job. If you want the job, do everything possible to get a job. That's fine. But if you want to build a career, now what you want to do right now is you want to be able to focus on the right foundation, do the right certification, think about the next 10 years. You want to be that person who is sitting up there at the enterprise level and directing everything. Now, that's a thinking that makes you invest in yourself. If not, there is no need for you to invest in yourself. Right. So, and also one of the thing you want to do is for you to actually sustain what you want to learn. It's not just because you like to. It's what you put in, the material, the resources. Make sure you surround yourself with them. I always tell people, look, the books behind me are not for decoration. Uh, all
Mhm.
of these levels, they're agile books. And I read them. I know what is in the fee. I know what to expect in the market, right? And um, there's some of the books which are coming up. I think many people who've had these Ace Your Scrum Master and Safe interview with ease, you can already see the value. It's a guide that makes you think like, wow, look, I got this question. Am I thinking about this question? Am I thinking about this question? Am I thinking about this question? It expands your knowledge and it gives you the possibility now to go deep more inside. So this is a powerful book. And for those who have had a copy of this book, a big thank you. Make sure you go drop a review on Amazon.
Yeah,
If you don't have
honest.
a copy,
Coach,
go
ah,
get
where's your
your
book?
copy.
Don't
Go
worry,
get your copy.
it's already
So
in there.
it's very important to focus on that. Now I'm gonna give many people, especially if you're preparing for a job market or preparing for interview this day, let's give you some ready to go tips before we go. Now, a lot of people have not yet mastered the power of ChatGPT in order to generate the right knowledge. ChatGPT is not going to give you the expert knowledge, but ChatGPT enhance the capability of what you can do. Give you a couple of prompts that you can use to prepare for your next interview. Let's say that you want to go for an interview with JP Morgan, and they're like, okay, we're looking for someone with infrastructure background, right? And you're wondering, what the hell do they mean by infrastructure background? Now, if you go to ChatGPT and enter a prompt, hey, ChatGPT, I'm an expert and I want to present a talk to a team of IT people, and I want to teach them on infrastructure as a service. I want you to give me an example in a real world. Use JP Morgan as a targeted industry and make sure that you give me both the processes, the tool, the applications that I'm going to use for my presentation. ChatGPT will highlight everything step from introduction to conclusion to all the possible team combination. If you miss anything, you can go below that same prompt and like, okay, you missed out based on the above presentation. Can you suggest possible team combinations that will work on an infrastructure project? With their roles, the expertise, the tools they use, you can be able to leverage that powerful art to create just almost anything. But this is not going to help you if you definitely don't understand that an infrastructure team is a team that exists within a Scrum and how a Scrum Master should relate in an infrastructure team, right? This is the reason why ChatGPT or AI is not going to replace our jobs because we are more in the emotional, intelligent aspect and leadership. And for somebody, and for you to get the result, you need to put in those scrums. You need that emotional, intelligent, and all that stuff. Now, the last aspect before we go ahead, we did in one of our recent assessment, we did an evaluation to evaluate how people actively listen during their interview. And we realized that many people just say what they think. They're not paying attention to what the interviewer is saying. If you can take this seriously, it's going to help you in your next Scrum interview. We learn something, our mind keep it. We just want to reproduce it the way we are. Now we took questions like You can say, okay, what's the role of a Scrum Master in sprint planning? Almost everybody can answer that, right? Now we change the question is, what is the importance of sprint planning? Now, many people still answer the question they had in their heads. What is the? It was funny, right? But that was a practical
Yeah.
experience, right? They're like they still answer the role of Scrum Master, but the question was, what is the importance? The same question we took, what's definition of done and what's definition of ready? We tweak that question to what is the importance of definition of done and definition of ready? And more than 90% of people get for the definition and stuff. Now, this is where they evaluate your active listening and interview. They will take a very simple question that they know that you've been practicing, and they're going to tweak. They will not ask for you the way it's going to be asked. They will just change. What's the importance of this? And then you start giving them a whole history of like, you're not paying attention to what you're saying. So active listening should be something you want to intentionally start practicing and
Mhm.
start using for your next interview. So and for if you definitely before I got my coaches say their last word, if you're looking for help, you want to join an amazing community of practice, and you want to be able to move beyond just your own feeling and challenge yourself to take the bull by the horn and get that job in less than no time, I'll reach out. We're going to offer you a 30-minute free assessment to determine if you definitely need the help or if you're serious about taking that help. And we'll take it from there. So you can send me a text, WhatsApp, or a regular text, and I will share with you the calendar link. Before I used to share the calendar link here, but I realized people just occupy the space and they don't show up, and that's taken out of my precious time. So if you really need an evaluation spot, send me a message, and then I'll share you the link on how to get that free assessment. And I'm going to roll it over to Coach Catherine. Coach Catherine, what's your take? What's your last advice for our listeners today?
Thank you, Doug. So, like I said in the beginning, there's a 24 percent growth rate of there will be a 24% growth rate of Scrum Masters come 2026. So, if you're in the Scrum space and it's hard for you to get a job, don't give up, because this is not even for 2025 or 2026. There are a lot of Scrum jobs out there, but organizations are worried, and that's why, like Doc said, there's a lot of layoff because they feel like there are so many imposters. So now they want people with real experience. So join a community of practice so you can get like the real life experience and you can speak like somebody that have this experience. You can speak like an expert and get your job and it's a job. And another thing I'll say is, if you've been here for a while and you're not getting results, join an active community like ours and be active on LinkedIn, because there's something you must be missing. Have a great LinkedIn profile, be active on LinkedIn, and try to build a strong network, because sometimes you just get on LinkedIn and you don't comment on posts, you don't post anything. Try to be active. You can make a post. If you cannot write a post every day or 3 days a week, you can actually share someone's post and just get active and be, and don't, when you send connection requests to, don't just send empty just a connection request. Sometimes what I do is, when I have a little free time, I'll look at the people that I recently connected with and just shoot them a message like, hey, how's your day going? Hope you're doing great. Have just something, just a little short motivating message that might make someone's day and they might remember you for that. So just be active and do your and continuously learn. Be active, continuously learn. Active on LinkedIn, build a strong network, and join an active community of practice, and that's definitely gonna change the game for you. But there's room for everyone, so don't give up.
Thank you very much for this wise word, Coach Catherine. Coach Alfred, please.
Yeah, what I will say is be prepared and not be ready. You will never be 100% ready, but when you're prepared, it's get you something. So how are you to be prepared, or how are you going to be prepared? I will say it's by knowing, not just it's not just by knowing and understand the material, but master the material, master your material. Because when you master it, then you're prepared. When that along goes with the just the belief in yourself. Now I usually say when you know something, no matter how you flip the question, you can respond to, you can definitely respond to it.
Mhm.
But if you want to say I'm not ready yet, I'm not ready yet, then I will say good luck for being ready, because ready is, it's not a natural thing. It's not a natural thing. You're never gonna be ready. But be prepared. When that call comes in, say, "Hey, X, Y, and Z, we have a position. Are you available for an interview?" Yes, I'm available for an interview. That's not the time you should be running. Oh, let me study my material. No, practice. I would say practice. When you practice, you master it. Master the information, master the tools, master the application. Doesn't mean you have to know it 100%, but the knowledge and understanding of what it is, the calls are gonna come at any time. That's before I close it. Don't worry about getting a call from recruiters, right?
Yep.
When that call comes in, that is your chance to sell yourself and get that job. That's why I say master your material and for far less about the recruiting. So thank you very much, Doc.
That's right. And Koshara, I've seen people after their first interview, the company decided to flew them over. We need you to come do the second interview in our site. Now, just because of the value, I've seen people after their first interview, they're like, we'll get back to you. We have a couple of people to interview. And then 10 minutes after, they're like, you know what? We found what we're looking for. But that takes preparation, right? Now, these people who had these, they were in the process for about 6, 7, 8 months, sometimes 1 year. But what I noticed that did not change, they did not stop learning. And that doesn't happen when you're on your own. It happens when you have accountability. When there is accountability, and that powerful accountability, you can only get it in a powerful mastermind community. Now, for everybody, I would say, for anything that you don't have now, there is something that you have not done. Now, when you get to a point where you said, I've done everything, you start feeling, because you're not looking for anything else to do. You get to a point where you tell your mind, I'm not willing to do anything. I have done everything possible and I have no result. Never get to a point. And I often hear people use the word, and it's like, if you know what you're doing to yourself and to your mind, you will not say that. When you get to a point like, I have done everything and nothing is working, you simply say, I'm a failure. So there's nothing out of me. There is always room for you. If there is a result that you've not had, it's like, what am I missing? The question is, what am I missing? What do I need to do? And for many people, especially within my community, for some people are like, you don't need Scrum, you need to go pray. You don't need Scrum, you need to take some retreat and build yourself. You don't need Scrum, you need to take another higher certification, right? I push people in my community to take certification beyond Scrum. ROT certification. Very soon, we're going to be launching the Lean Portfolio Management certification. Now, these are for those who are within the Scrum space. What are we doing? If you can get a Lean Portfolio Management certification, which is working with leaders, then there is nothing that will stop you from getting a Scrum job. That's what you're telling yourself. But if you don't even think you get a Scrum job, nothing will motivate you to get an ROT certification, because you don't have any hopes of going there. Right. So the way you think, the way you talk, define what you get as result. Many people are working harder every day, but they're telling themselves, "Oh, there are no jobs. I'm trying my best. I'm just lying same in. Now people say like same old, same old. Come on, don't do that. It's like I flow with what goes on. And then if you do that, you get anyhow result, right? Please be positive and stay positive. You'll get the result. Thank you very much. It was an exciting journey, and make sure you're connecting with us on YouTube. Make sure you following us on LinkedIn, and there's always exciting information to share. And for those who are really interested about building their Scrum career, do everything possible to be part of an active Agile community. Right. Now, the trick I tell people is it's not about the person, it's about the structure. When you meet a community want to join, what's your structure? How can I get help even when you're not there? But the mistake people ask is that no, I don't want, I just want you. And then they get in the space of people, and people cannot be available 100%. Trust me. I can be available to you right now simply because I have the time. When I get busy for that, you won't see me. But a structure, that is why every institution have a structure. There's there's a what there's grade one, grade two, grade three. If the head teacher is not there, they get another person. So that's what gives us result. All right. Thank you and have a great evening.